Hey, all right, we're live. So welcome back, everyone. It's been a really awesome jam. Here we are at Global Game Jam Green Bay. What a turnout we had this year. It was really fun. What else do I have to say? I guess, so for presentations, this is our big reveal for all the games we've made over the weekend. Just like the whole weekend has been, no pressure, nothing like that. Even if you didn't finish, just show what you did. Focus on what went well, what didn't go so well, maybe also what you had the most fun doing, and then give a little demo of the game. So we have I think we have 7 games at least, maybe 8. So I don't think, in the past sometimes we've offered people to play each other's games. We can probably do that, but maybe after the big presentations, because otherwise it's going to take forever to get through all 8 of them. So just play your own game and show it, just walk us through it, try to defeat it maybe. If it's taking too long, then maybe just skip to the ending or something, I don't know. It depends on how much content some people have made, so. I think that's about all I got. Does anyone want to go first? No?
Not everybody at once.
Yeah.
If you go first, I'll go second.
All right, I'll start us out. Yeah. So we're gonna have to, in between each, we're gonna have to set up obviously because we've got HDMI. So I'm gonna ask everyone that's showing something that's a video game to bring their own laptop up, and we'll plug into the HDMI and we'll do it that way. Because otherwise we have to transfer it onto my computer, and it's gonna be a big mess. So if you're planning on coming up, make sure your laptop is ready to show it off.
Make sure you project.
Yeah, how is that for volume?
That's good. That projection is a big thing.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go back up there in a second, explain what we're doing, and then I'm gonna show it off. What is it doing? Oh, here we go. Oh, you're over here. I'm gonna pick it up. Okay, so we made, as I mentioned during brainstorming, we made a full motion video game, so an FMV game. It's sort of there's some duality in it in the sense that it's kind of half FMV, half 3D exploration type game. You start out and basically Logan, where's Logan? Oh, he just walked away. Okay, he's basically our main character because he plays the role of a detective in the FMV section of the game. He's going through the house at first, and you'll see that part of it, and it's a 3D house that we got off the asset store, so we don't really have any 3D artists on the team, so we got a bunch of stuff from the asset store and hooked up and rigged up the controls for the 3D environment. You go through there, and you pick up evidence. You're in this crime scene, you pick up evidence. The evidence that you pick up goes into the full motion video sequence, and that's how we determine the order of the videos we show, and then that gives you clues about where the bodies are hidden. And then you have to go back to the house and figure out where the bodies are. That's the game. What went well, as I mentioned, I'd like everyone to say definitely what went well, what didn't go so well, what the most fun thing was, I don't know. What went well, I think we had a pretty good scope, although I doubted that at times, but I think it was pretty good in scope. So that was a really good thing. We've done this before. A couple of us on the team have definitely done a lot of jams to get together before. What didn't go so well, I think, I hadn't thought about this. I think we probably could have done a little better at planning in terms of who should be doing what. We had some people idle for a while. We probably could have figured that out about what we should be doing when they're idle and stuff like that. What the most fun thing was, what definitely, 1 in the morning, I don't know if it was Saturday or Friday, I can't even remember, but Vic just started recording temporary dialogue and audio for the game, and it was just, we thought it was the most hilarious thing. Right now it's probably not, but it was good cop shell casings, bad cop shell casings, and it was just great. We thought it was hilarious at the time. Maybe it was because one of the items was a stool, so of course he said bad cop stool, and so of course my inner child thought that was hilarious. But I don't know, it was just a really fun jam, and that's about all I got. And so working on it, we had Vic over here, Tanya, we had Adam Sisden, who's around somewhere over here, yep. Adam did the writing, so he wrote the script. We had April help out on the script as well, which was a really great pitch hitter we had because we needed to get a script by 9:30 in the morning. For Logan and his friend Devin, who's an actor, came in and we did shooting down there. You probably saw us on Saturday morning. So Logan was the actor, Devin was the other actor. And so yeah, that's basically the team. So it was really fun, and I'll show you the game. Okay, so here we go. Murder Me Twice. So there's a guy in double murder here. Apparently that goes too fast. I don't know. But it basically just said you have to find evidence. So we're going to go in here. Oh, and I don't have a mouse. Grab my mouse. It's going to be tough to play that. Yes, I'll give you a mouse. I mean, I could, but.
And after all that talk, we have your laptops, right?
Right.
You forget the accessories.
Right? Laptops and your mics. All right. So we're going to go into the house. This is the house. There's various items scattered about, and I realize you walk probably way too fast in this house, but oh well, we never tune that. Really, we just put in what is there. This is kind of a piece of paper you can pick up. So this is a phone bill. It looks overdue. You quickly put it in your pocket, and then in the bottom of the screen there, you see a little phone bill that popped up. We can go upstairs. I always say I'm very bad at playing my own games. I need to find some stuff. So I need to find
the drum.
well, the drum is around somewhere. I'm not confident. I'm going to actually go back downstairs because I know where the gun is. There's a really scary basement too that we didn't put anything in, but it's creepy. And here's this massive gun. Handgun that's been recently fired. You decide to take it with you. Now we've got a little a massive handgun. There's some steps around here that have a book on it. Oh, here. That has a copy of Finnegan's Wake, Strange Find that you take. I'm trying to remember where there's more stuff. I think upstairs I have some. Oh, I know. The kitchen. So obviously the player would be playing this for a while just to find all this, kind of like in Gone Home. And we, in a full game, we would like tie in more story elements and stuff like that. But this is a jam, so that's what we got. There is in the kitchen. I think there's some. What actually is a box of like aspirin, but I thought they were cigarettes, so they've been written down officially as cigarettes. They're somewhere near that pizza. Oh yeah, they're floating right there. So I got the cigarettes that really aren't cigarettes. But anyway, so once you think you have enough evidence, the game is to go back to the cop shop. So you go back outside, and then you can go with any number of items right now, and that determines what happens next. So now you get to play good cop or bad cop. Oops. And the mouse is kind of wonky here. So I'm going to choose good cop for the first one.
Found your phone bill. Did you pay that this month? Yeah.
Is that for phone bill, really?
Oh, wait, yeah, that was the one where we
Oh, that's the good cop. Yeah.
Finnegan's Wake. Being a murderer is one thing, but an eccentric hipster? That's a step over the line. Good morning.
Cigarettes.
I'm gonna start the web addict. If you ever want to puff again, tell me the truth.
Oh man.
I think you'll need it more than me by the time we're done, detective.
We found this handgun at the scene, scumbag. You got anything to do with that?
Never seen that hunk of metal before in my life.
Now I think I missed the piece of evidence that says where the murder is, but murder hit the body. But now that I'm back in the house, I can kind of try to guess. I can take one guess that it's in the freezer because I know that that might be a possible location. You open the freezer and bam, you're dead. We're no body. Oh, you're dead. I could end this on a happy note, but it's a game about murder, so that's what we got. I think what might be cool though is to show some more of those clips that we missed. Let me see if I can find those really quick. I don't want to take a ton of time, but there was some really good editing we got done that Vic did. Some really good acting from Logan and Devin. I don't know if I'll say that the directing was good because I was the director, so who knows. I don't know how it was, but we have a bunch of, so we have bad cop, good cop, we have tons of stuff you didn't see. I think the bad cop one for, was it the phone bill? Oh yeah, that one's a good one. The bad cop for phone bill is really good.
Good cop drums was.
Good cop drums?
Well, I was just saying that was my personal favorite.
I like the bad cop napkin.
Oh yeah.
So, who in the house was a musician?
Ronnie, he would often try playing solo drum covers to Corey Feldman's Angelic to the Core. Yeah, that's right.
There's some good ones in there. There's the bad cop napkin.
We found a napkin with gunpowder. What did you do? Murder your friends and then try to clean the weapon, but then just leave the napkin sitting there? It's pretty stupid if you ask me.
At least I try, you second-rate detective.
I'll play one more. I think my favorite was the bad cop phone bill, I think. Oh yeah, it was.
Is this why you killed them? Over a phone bill?
Yeah. We were all on the same phone bill. Ronnie would always miss his payment, and I got sick of it. Becca couldn't keep him in check anymore, so I killed her too. Chopped up their bodies and put them in the basement freezer. And then I paid the phone bill immediately afterwards.
So that's the one that would have led me to the freezer, which obviously we had upstairs and downstairs, but it was basically a wild use chase that he was leading us on, that they were even in the freezer in the first place. So that kind of ties back to the gameplay that I was showing you before. But yeah, that's about it. Bless.
Okay, yes, I did agree with that.
So get set up here, and then go up there to say what your game's all about. Yeah, if you need to plug in or whatever. So actually, there's none over here, but we need this plugged in. What is this? Oh, that's the TV. We might need a power strip. I'm sure you're not the only one that's going to have to plug in, so I'll need a power strip. Oh, yeah, Justin. There you go.
Oh my gosh, it's so many. Hello.
And while we're transitioning here, I'll just do a couple minor announcements. What can I unplug here temporarily? Is this TV that's going to turn off, but it'll come back on. There we go. Yep. So just a couple things. After the jam, which actually technically the global game jam ends in like a week because they gave us 2 options of weekends to choose. We chose this one mostly because of like our school schedules and stuff like that. So you officially have like another week to get your jam up to your game up to the jam site. To do that, just like export the exe and everything you can to make sure other people can play the game if you want to. It's totally optional. And then it'll be up on our site like forever, which I think is great. Like that way you can like show employers and things like that. You can show your friends. It's just there, and it's a thing that people can just download and play. So it's really fun. So try to do that. Anyway, Cass.
Hello, yes.
Yes. So Cass has a game. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Cass. So basically I decided to make a game in a program called Diptych, which is kind of, very basic, like 1-bit art, and you can play a lot around with it, make different rooms, make different, storylines, dialogue, that kind of stuff. And the idea I was kind of going for was sort of man versus nature, but also like man versus himself, and just kind of some character work. And you'll definitely see that there's a lot of like mirroring and stuff that goes on in this game. So that's kind of, jumping into that idea of duality. So I do have music, and I hope it'll play. And if not, that's okay. But I just wanted to let you know. So I had some trouble figuring out the music, so that's one of the challenges I had. But I really had a lot of fun making this game in general, and I'd love to work with Diptych more as time goes on. So. Okay, I think it's playing through my laptop, but if I just, can everybody do that? Okay. Should I read dialogue, or does everybody just feel comfortable reading it, or?
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Okay. Ow, hangover. This bed is far too big for just one person. Huh, it snowed. A bit early for November. The greatest buck I ever shot. I seriously think that thing was as tall as me. Took 4 shots to fell it. I was the talk of the valley last autumn. The fire is warm, but I should get more wood from outside. It'll be a cold night. I should grab my keys first. Where did I leave those things? It's a photo of Maya. It's been nearly a year since Maya took the kids. Stephen loved when it snowed. I hated when he would use my scarves for the snowman, but I admit I miss it now. I think I'll take this with me. Ah, here they are. Must have dropped them. Wow, I look really bad. Better go bring the wood in. There's some already chopped in the shed. What? I just came through that door. Where the hell am I? It's a note. It says, "Come to the forest, do what you must." Nightmare. This looks like my house, but wrong. Changed. What the hell? The painting is ripped to shreds. What could have done this? The embers are dark and cold. This fire has been out for a while. Why can't I get through this door? My keys aren't working. My bedroom is gone, and the mirror on the wall is shattered. The key, made of wrought iron, is covered in dirt and is ice cold to the even sure what that is. Best to leave it alone. That is really bad for my hangover. Let's hope this works. I swear it was snowing when I left my real house, but here it's just cold. These mountains, I've been here before. When I was 18, my little brother died. He slipped and fell off a cliff while my family and I were hiking. My mother never got over it. One of the reasons I moved out into the boonies was to feel closer to him, I think. That peak over there, that's where Danny fell. I never told anyone, but to this day, I'm glad he was the one that slipped and not me. How are we looking? That is a big yearling, Jesus Christ. Hello, Clint. Who are you? I am the speaker for the forest, the one you have greatly angered. What the hell do you mean? Why am I here? Let me out of this place. You would do well to calm your temper, Stag Slayer. Stags? What? What do you mean by... Wait. The buck I shot. Yes. A true prince of the forest, and you put him down like he was nothing. Be silent. This is why you have been brought here to this place. Jesus Christ, this might as well happen. You have stolen from the forest. The forest demands payment. What kind? A life for a life, Stag Slayer. We will have your life as recompense. Please don't kill me. That is not for you to decide. You did not give our prince that choice. How was I supposed to know? Man has lost much knowledge. The ways of the old world are nearly gone from human memory now. But that does not mean that they are gone. I don't know what to do now. Every moment you stay in this realm, you grow weaker. We will have your life one way or another. No, please, don't kill me. I don't want to die. I'll do anything you want. I'll give you my money, my children. That might actually be better. Wait, what? What do you... I said a life for a life. A son of the forest for a son of man. Yes, that will do nicely. No, that isn't what I meant. I'll give you anything else. Too bad, Stag Slayer. It has already begun. Wait. Goodbye, Clinton. I think we may be seeing each other again one day. The forest and its horrors will be waiting. That was the weirdest dream I think I've ever had. Jesus Christ. I'll never drink again. You have one new message from Maya Holden. Clint, please call me back. Stephen had a seizure. He and I are at the hospital right now, but you need to get here. Please call me. Click. Shit. The end. Thanks.
Who's next? Join us up here. All right, come on. The cat team. the FMV team and the cat team have been constantly barraging each other with things on Discord.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The smaller piece fell right there.
Go ahead.
Oh,
So I guess we could probably start out by saying something while he's getting this set up. Our game was pronounced Cracklin, right?
Grimulkin.
Grimulkin. Yep.
So, yeah, the whole premise of our game is it's a two-player experience. One person has a physical map that they're supposed to be looking at, while the other person is navigating the 3D world. And that's sort of where the duality comes into it, is that and a whole bunch of puzzles that we have throughout the game. So the map, though, is ancient and old and doesn't actually have everything that's in the world, and the world looks a little bit differently as you're kind of walking through it. Grimulkin is a name that we found as we somehow decided to stay with the cat theme, and it's like an old cat from like old folklore and stuff. It's used in the, I think it's Macbeth when he talks to the Fates. I didn't read the whole Wikipedia article, I'm not gonna lie, just skip it. Yeah, so we can go ahead and start. And we built this in Unity. I would say the hardest thing for us was merging in GitHub. That was,
Yes. Yes. A lot of stuff got lost and had to be redone.
Yeah, so it's the cat's name is Tolu. I'm sorry, Tolu, your life has been unfair, sweet girl. Collect your 5 lives here in Limbo. This cat only has 5 lives due to time constraints. And I, the great Grumblkin, will return you to the land of the living. Take this ancient map to help you on your journey. Beware, time changes all things. How you use it is up to you. And then it says, print the map included with this game. So. So the whole world is super foggy, and it just has a couple of landmarks in it, and you're collecting these lanterns. That will grab this first one here. And each lantern has a riddle. So for this riddle, it's the king and queen face the gate that welcome the light. So the player will look at the map provided here, and they'll see that there's 2 thrones on this map, and they are pointing to a certain space in the world. And there's like 10 separate islands that are kind of floating around in this void. But using the thrones, you can sort of triangulate where you're supposed to go to a gate here and collect your next lantern. And then this one, a ring of ruin for the Gremlin as it ascended to the sky. So the player hasn't seen any of this yet, but whoever's the map can see from the top down that there's 2 giant stone rings in here where they can go and go find them.
There it is. There's also glyphs around too that have little like hints and keys, and they match up to the legend that's on that map to an extent.
Yeah, so the player has some information here, and then there's some information on the map, except for not everything is super reliable.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to the whole duality thing where you have the map person and the game player, and they have to work together to, you know, solve the riddles.
There's no compass, so it's all about where are we facing, which direction are we going in, trying to figure that out, and use the landmarks with this underlying thing on the other person that you're trying to communicate with.
We wanted to encourage players to like draw on the map, write, and talk to each other. We were able to get 1 playtest in, and the map was pretty sketched up, so I think we've succeeded in that.
Yeah, I was the map teller guy, and then I would like help with directions and stuff, but what I thought was happening was probably not what was happening in the game. Because I thought they were going one direction, but the next thing I knew they were on the opposite side of the map where I did not think they would be going. So I was like 100% confused.
And we tried to do, for these islands, we have like 2 variants for each type, keep it to that duality idea. So like there's 2 thrones, like he was saying, 2 different rings that you see on the map, but they differ a little bit.
So since the brother and sister stand tall, the brother speaks with fire, and the sister keeps her secrets. So we don't know how good these riddles are because they are kind of hard to figure out. So we wrote them.
Sometimes it doesn't like the big mistake. There's some little bugs.
Some stuff that works out, but it's playable.
And we know all the puzzles, so there's really no secrets here for us.
So this glyph here doesn't tell you in the game what it is, but it does show you on the map with the series and the legend. There's a bunch of glyphs down here that we have. So you'll be able to figure out that this glyph is mapped to a key, and then we have to go to the brother to press that key to essentially spawn the next lantern.
Where's the brother from? I like the grave.
Yeah, keep going that way, the way you're currently going, and then on the left at the gate.
Oh yeah. And we keep the old messages there, so if you forget what your message was, you can come back to it and reread it.
Oh, weird, the wall works now. The last build, it did not work.
Wait, where's the brother at?
The brother is to the left of the gate. You have to go back to the main gate.
Oh, to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So head left from here, since we can see the wall now. And we can go up. And that should put us back to the gate. And then if you take a right from the gate,
But obviously, the people playing this will be looking at the map, trying to figure out what like the brother and sister mean, what the ring from heaven was. Like that's not obvious unless you're looking at the map. So you have to communicate that to the player. And that was so we knew the key code from that one glyph that we were looking at. So we were able to solve that. Maybe we should pass the map around to people.
yeah.
Because it might not be as obvious as like where you're supposed to go.
And then did you have other copies of that?
Those are all the old ones that we threw away.
Okay.
Well, like that riddle was riddle can split the
Pillars into two.
pillars into two. And on the map we just showed there's two structures that are two towers each. And you have to figure out which structure are they talking about in this case. There was some weird stuff that happened in the networks that we weren't able to hammer out. So it's a little janky. So like here's one of the towers. So you might investigate and see if there's a glyph on it or anything. Where's the other tower?
It is, it'll be to that way.
That's which way?
That way. Turn left.
Let me face the wall. Which way?
Now take a right and go all the way that way. Yeah, go straight past that one, and then you'll get to the last one, and then we'll get to the final.
One thing that's really cool about the map is that if you're on one island, you can't see any of the other islands around you because of the fog. But if you're like in between areas, you can look at two separate areas and see them bridge. So it's really nice how that map worked out.
Of course, there's stuff missing on the map too, so we encourage people to update that. And it's like, oh, this is actually flipped in a different spot. Let's make a note of that.
We did have a looping teleport working for a while, but then the camera got so janky that we cut it out. So you walk out of one side of the map, and then it would bring you back to the other one.
Yeah.
And so like each riddle relates to objects that are in the world and kind of tell you where to go next, sort of.
We did have some randomization of the player's placement at first, so that they kind of orient, but we cut that when we put the grave in. We needed some way for the person to know where they are initially. Which way was the ramp?
Keep going past this throne. Be a little bit over there.
And then there was that one glyph that we saw that said F is the key. So once you have all 5 lanterns, you come here, you're gonna hit F and
Yeah, and that's it.
great riddle.
except for known issue, QA was not credited at all.
Yeah, QA.
I think there's a space when you upload your games to definitely put all the credits when you upload the games. They've got like a little space for that. Who wants to go next? All right. We have April and Logan coming up.
Go, go.
I'm not sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Logan's gonna get it all set up, but for this like game jam project, it is like the theme is duality. So I was like, ooh, like justice, injustice would be very cool because they're very different things, but together like they can't exist without each other. So that's what we kind of have.
Oh, it's fun.
I guess my favorite part about this was this is the first time I've ever created a video game before, like with like graphics and stuff. I've obviously created narrative games, but that was like really cool for me to do. I don't know what Logan wants to add to that after.
It was fun.
It was fun, but I don't. What kind of like struggle did we have really?
I would say, so April did all the writing, and we talked a lot about just like the design and the flow of the game up front. So we really kind of hammered that at the beginning. But then, if I go back in time, I wish that, because like I did not expect you to just write everything up like so fast.
Yeah, sorry about that, by the
No,
way.
no, it's fine. But basically what happened was April like wrote everything, and by the time we were like halfway through yesterday, we basically had everything written. And I finished this like 15 minutes ago pretty much. So like I was working for like a lot longer, and I wish maybe we would have taken some time to like, I used Godot to make this game. And I wish that I would have taken the time to maybe show you a little bit more in Godot, so maybe you could have tried to like help more in that aspect. Because when it got to, the writing was finished, she was like, well, like, is there anything else I could help with? And I was like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not, the time investment was like, but I wish I could go back and maybe I would have tried to show you a little bit more, because it would have been nice for you to learn some more about Godot. But yeah, we'll show it.
I'm still good. Quick warning, so when we created this and we were like getting the last of everything up like today, we forgot to add the trigger warning stuff. So
It's bad.
it's not bad. I'm just gonna mention we do have brief references of like animal abuse, sexual abuse, and child pornography. So if any of that like is triggering for anybody, like we can easily just quickly skip through those parts. It's just with case files and working with like convicts and stuff, it was, well, how do we come up with criminals just for having it in the game? So if that does trigger you, please step out, but I will get away from the TV, so it's easier to see.
So, do we just want to read the stuff? Welcome to your new job as a death row worker at Executioner Inc. We are the leader in execution rates throughout the country, making us the hub for criminal storage and disposal. The work you'll do here will preserve the world for future generations. As long as you follow the rules, your job with us is secure. Executioner Inc. So basically, we have all of these home scenes where you can choose to, you read the letter and then you can decide to go to work, or basically quit your job and stay home. But we'll go to work. So anybody here that's played Papers, Please here can really see the inspiration from Papers, Please. It definitely doesn't look anything like the game. But yeah, so every single person comes up, there's a case file. And this is just like a template where all of this text and images are like dynamically loaded, which is pretty cool. As we can see here, Diptych is also a crime child porn. Caught in possession of child pornography. He created ages of children found in his records range from 5 years old to 13 years old. So you can ring this bell if you want to. You can stamp them, and like basically like green means they live, red means they die. Or you can ring the bell and you can hear their final plea basically. So let's hear what Diptych has to say. You want to give your best Russian accent on this one?
I'm good. That's all.
I'm not gonna try that. I saved those girls up the streets. I gave them a home, a living. And I'm the bad guy? Nah, I was their hero. Just ask that one girl. She will tell you. And now that he's here, he'll react to me stamping. So I don't think this guy deserves it. Well, at least it was fun while it lasted. Jeez. Alright. Next we've got Chloe Hogg, crime dogfighting hobbyist. Ran 5 organized fights throughout the years. Multiple dogs have died from their injuries since rescue. So it is the same exact thing. We can talk to Chloe if we want. She'll come in. What, do you expect me to plead my case? You say they're acting like there's something wrong with some friendly entertainment? Honestly, goodbye, Chloe. You're as stupid as you look. I would watch my back if I were you. So we've got 2 people coming in a work day. Basically, this is like, these letters in the morning are supposed to represent like, before the work day, letters that you receive outside of work. We just welcomed our boy back to our home thanks to that sick bastard finally getting caught. In killing him, the suffering my son experienced won't happen to any other poor child. The only thing I hate is that you got the privilege to do it yourself. Keep up the good work. Make all those bastards burn in hell for committing these crimes. One grateful mother. So, these letters, they branch as far as which ones you can receive. So that one relates to us killing Demetrius at the beginning, but there is another letter that we could have received if we let him walk, which probably would have not been from one grateful mother.
The exact opposite.
Yes, 100. Not happy. Case file. Wade Ridge, crime obstruction. Works for Executioner Inc. Let too many convicts walk free from the death penalty. Maybe want to talk to this guy. I used to be behind that desk, now look at me standing in front of it. You know something is messed up here, right? Can't you see it too? Maybe we let this guy live. You shouldn't have done that. They will come to you. You still can. What do we got here? Harold Merritt, crime, murdered an individual with no prior connection to him. Turned himself in at his local police station, claims the victim assaulted his daughter. Oh, that's new. I didn't see the scroll bar before. Yeah, I did. The bastard sexually assaulted my 15-year-old kid. What was I supposed to do? It's not like they ever go to trial for that sort of thing. I ain't gonna apologize either. Why do you think I turned myself in? I like you, Harold. Yeah. You're letting me go? I can't thank you enough. I won't forget this. Let's see. While your time here at Executioner Inc. has been limited, you have disappointed us at a grade level. Letting people walk free for any reason is highly discouraged. So you will be placed under a probationary period. If you let anyone else go without good reason, we will have you arrested for obstruction of justice. Have a good day at work. Executioner Inc.
There's 4 days of this, so.
Yeah, so this is day 3. Addison Garner, supply damage. Caught dumping sewage in local water supply, causing waterborne disease in the nearby community. 1 person hospitalized. That ain't my doing. Could have been anyone. I ain't even from that area. Goodbye, Addison. I wish he was the one hospitalized. What we got here? Roman Butler, handsome looking chap. Caught with an illegal strain of marijuana while selling to minors. Possible lab yet to be discovered, claims he was trying to help people. Medication, that's why. They needed for pain. I gave it to them for their pain. Pretty self-explanatory. Green or red? Green? Alright. Gold is the top half. You are a good person. I promise you made the right call. This is from Harold, who's the guy we saved earlier. Hey, I can't put into words how much your compassion means to me and my family. If you ever want to leave that hellhole for any reason, let me know. I might have something lined up for you. Go to work. Case file, Melina Lara. Shoplifting. Caught stealing from local grocery store. List of items stolen. Toothpaste, canned peaches, beans, rice, and a children's book. No known address. What, you want a sob story? I have no job. This is how I feed my children. On my own. Alright. I don't know how I can pay you for this. Alright, this is the last one. Vincent Ooze. Spree murder. Police caught him with gun use in a total of 10 shootings in 2 days. Claims he was framed. I swear I didn't do it. I didn't kill anyone. They're setting me up. Come on, you have to believe me, please. Do we believe him?
No, it's not you.
We don't believe you guys said. I don't believe anybody with cheekbones like that. What good is this system if it doesn't help guys like me? You'll regret this. You will regret this. Alright. I've been hearing what you said in your last meeting with me, and the things that concern you for your mental health. It might be in your best interest to find employment that contains less interactions with death. Contact my office if you would like to discuss this with me. Best regards, Dr. Travis. And this is just one of the ending letters of the game. This one is you killed a decent number of people, but you also let some of them go. There's a couple other letters. This one, it just goes back to the title screen. For any of the other letters, if you just stay home, we wanted to add like little achievement blurbs and stuff where like when you end the game, it's just like based on like a more robust version of your choices. You would have like achievements like if you killed everybody in the achievement game, would be like, damn dude, are you okay? Like stuff like that. But right now it's just stay home. The game starts over because you can choose to not play the game. It's the only way you win. But yeah, that's our game.
Who's next? Oh, come on up. August and Indigo, right? Okay. So we have August and Indigo coming up next. How many do we have left? One or two? Two groups left after this.
So we made a game called Zero using Bitsy. Our main idea was to use the duality of past versus future, and we decided that the character would play as two different characters as shown through the color palette and use of names. And our challenges were that Bitsy is not made for multiple people to work on at the same time, so we definitely had to do some messing around with that, and it did cause some issues. We also hit a tile limit with how many tiles we've used in Bitsy, so we had to work around that as well. I had a lot of fun working with Indigo. I did the music and most of the writing, and Indigo did some of the writing and most of the art, and I also did some of the art, so we had a pretty good split of work. But let's start it. It's a shame we have to come this far from the city to see the stars. Huh, Zero? I don't know. I think it's nice to get away from the noise. Yeah, I suppose. I can't stay much longer. Gotta work tomorrow. Alright, don't let me keep you. When you get back to your apartment, there's a box sitting in front of your door. It has a big red confidential sticker on it. No, yeah, I'm here. Just calling because it's creepy. There's no cell service inside the city. If you don't hear from me in the next 2 days, send help. Of course you're freaked out, Sam. You're probably standing over a mass grave right now. I don't know why you picked this topic for your thesis. You can't say it's not interesting. A whole city is overtaken by a mysterious disease and completely wiped out. And 20 years after the fact, the government admits to a misplaced bioweapon? It's interesting, sure, but what do you even hope to find? Anything, really. Hoping I can get enough for a case study. I still think there are easier ways to... Shit, the cell service dropped. Guess you're really in this now. Oh, music stopped. Don't know why. You could play it on beatbox.
You sure it's not blue?
It'll be fine. Oh, okay. The government quarantined the city. Obviously, people still tried to leave. They did not succeed. The car on the bridge is an example of this. The door takes some effort to pry open. There's no body inside. Of course there isn't. The cleanup of the city was vast, and diseased bodies were buried in a mass grave. Nothing was left unturned. You reach your hand between the driver's seat and the center console, grabbing hold of a wallet. Inside the wallet, there's an ID, someone named Zero. Their address is still legible, 2080 West Maple Street. You pull out a map you packed and mark the address in red pen. Any destination is better than the aimless wandering you had planned to do. Reading your map, you continue onwards. Being inside the city gives you chills. How many people's lives were completely destroyed? 50 years later, most people are content to ignore that this city ever existed. We can go in the hotel, but I don't think we should interact with the stuff in there. There's a lot of text and like lore about the disease in here, so you can explore this when we post it later. There's a rat also.
This one?
Yeah, sure. Lockwood Estates, definitely not the lineage they were hoping for. You remember reading about how the rich folks hoarded unethically procured medical supplies in their bunkers. An angry mob climbed the walls and tore down the gate. Once they were inside, they found police barred their way. A few stragglers made it past the barricade, and within weeks, the entire community was wiped out. You aren't sure how the water in this fountain is still flowing. There aren't any coins in the bottom, but there is a silver wedding band. You leave it. You can see Zero's apartment from here. This rat is eating something from the trash can. Probably not healthy to stand near it. Here it is, 2080 West Maple Street. Zero's apartment and evidence of the life they led will be inside these walls. You take a deep breath and go inside. The box has a large confidential sticker on it. There is nothing inside. The newspaper dates back to 50 years ago. As you flip through, nearly every article is about how to keep yourself safe from disease. You find a note on a scrap piece of paper. You open the mysterious box after a little deliberation. It has to be a prank, right? You haven't ordered anything recently that would warrant this kind of label. Inside, underneath layers of snug packaging, you find a small vial. You shake it a bit to see if the light, dusty powder inside will react. It pops up in the vial. You briefly wonder if anyone in your life would have a motive to send you anthrax. You set the vial on your counter. It's time for bed anyway. The vial must have cracked under direct sunlight. It leaves a stain on the floor. Before you leave for work, you send your friend you think to be the most likely culprit of the prank text message. Hey man, I don't know what was in that prank bottle, but it was a bitch to clean off my floor. On your work break, you get a text back. What are you talking about? 2 weeks later, your limbs are too heavy to move. You started to feel ill a few days ago, but you never felt this sick before. Yesterday, an old man that frequented your workplace died. Was it your fault? All your friends, they're starting to show the same symptoms of you as you. Is it your fault? It is your fault. It is your fault. What was in that vial? It hasn't gotten better. You coughed blood into the sink. More people are dying. The city has been quarantined. Your friend hasn't texted you in days. Their symptoms were worse than yours. It is your fault. You know that, and yet you can't tell anyone. The guilt is eating you from the inside out. But how could you have known? How could you have doomed everyone you know and love? You can't show your face. There's a piece of scrap paper. You write a note. There's been a mistake. I was sent a package that I never ordered. It had a vial in it. I thought it was a prank. I really thought it was a prank. It broke open in the sun. I didn't think anything of it. It was just a prank. And yet, weeks later, I'm killing everyone. Everyone is dying. Something was in that vial, and I let it out. I spread it everywhere. I didn't know. There's nothing I can do. I can hardly move. Everything is falling around me, and it's my fault. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. Your car keys are sitting on the desk. Maybe you can see the stars one last time. The Masquerade was dug due to the overwhelming amount of deceased bodies in such a short period of time. Government workers came into the city in hazmat suits to find everyone dead. The contagion was gone by then, not able to survive outside of a human body. Did the government know immediately that this was their doing? Did they hold that secret close to their chests for 20 years? If only they had known they could pin the blame on a 20-year-old who, by pure chance, by clerical error, ended up with a bioweapon, what would they have done? What are you feeling? Grief? Guilt by proxy? You wish you could leave this knowledge behind. A few minutes later, you feel ready to head home. Hey, Sam, good to know you're alive. Find anything to do your thesis on? No, actually. I think I'll let things rest.
Thank you. All right. Oh, Chris Williams, come on up. We got Chris Williams coming up, present. And then board game after that, all right? Anyone else after that? All right. Cool. That'll be good. I think we got like 8 games then, I think I counted. That's pretty good. It's definitely a record this year, so. And we tied for highest capacity or highest turnout in Wisconsin because Tanya had forgotten to sign up. So we're tied with UW Whitewater.
That's all that.
Yep. Yeah, Chris Williams.
Sure. Yeah, so this is going to be much shorter. This is much a work in progress. Didn't quite get it all the way done. So I'll talk a bit about it and I'll walk through what the game is trying to do. So, as I mentioned before, I tried to start doing a tabletop RPG. And as I worked on it more, I discovered it wasn't really that. Or rather, it wasn't the same sort of RPG I had when I first started. So it turned into is a collaborative storytelling RPG. And I'll talk about the goals and everything and kind of go with that. It's called Diptych. And I'm just going to walk through it.
Do you want me to help you out?
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you just tell me when I should go down?
Go down, please. Scroll.
Or scroll down.
Diptych is a collaborative storytelling game about triumph. So when I was thinking about this, I wanted this game to be about something positive. So the story you're telling is one of an epic victory. You're telling a story of an epic victory over a threat. with the goal of telling a story heroic enough to be, telling a heroic enough saga to be indelible from the annals of history. The story will be immortalized in a Diptych. When the game ends, the players describe the Diptych they created. So the whole goal of the game is to tell a dollar story. That's kind of it. The story is exciting and investing, all of that. As the game progresses, the threat facing the players will complicate and expand, making the story of their inevitable victory all the more dramatic. Players take the role of an embodiment that speaks to a certain outlook, approach, or philosophy. So usually you look at character classes, it's called an embodiment. The embodiment will evolve into an aspect through player actions in gameplay. So you might think of these as like subclasses, or things you can kind of evolve into. This is highlighting the duality of things. These embodiments are designed, these aspects of the embodiments are designed to be kind of opposite each other. The story usually takes 3 to 5 game sessions called acts. Each act consists of scenes, and each scene of turns. You can see I'm also thinking over here, work in progress, that maybe they're called movements, scenes of motifs, and turns of phrases, kind of thinking about a more musical language for that. Each act should take around 2 to 3 hours complete, depending on the number of players. Players determine the number of scenes per act at the start of the game, somewhere in the 3 to 6 range, seems like. So the players agree upon, this is how long we're going to tell a story. Right? This is what's going to happen with that. A scene consists of every player having a turn. Players can alter a player's trajectory with other players' consent. This is done through abilities. So what I mean by that, and I need to work on this a lot more, is that other players can interact with your alpha and omega aspects. We'll get to it in a second. So, but the whole one thing there is with player consent. Like you got to agree to. Somebody just can't say you're this now. It has to be part of that. I want to talk a bit about consent in a second, and that's part of that is sketching out like safety tools. Players will select an embodiment from 2 options. There's going to be a list of embodiments later. Then the player will roll to determine the story type. There will be tables, or maybe tables to determine story type based on the roll. Players can also elect to create their own story type. So this is like kind of where you're starting what story you're going to tell. You're going to tell a story about vanquishing an evil dragon. You're going to tell a story about stopping a corrupt government, right? And I'll have tonal indicators of 2. Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be creepy? Is it going to be sad? Is it going to be a mix of all these things? Kind of agreeing on the type of story you're going to tell each other. After the story type is determined, players need to agree on the number of acts contained in the game and number of scenes per act. This is again like how long I'll do this thing for. Players need to determine the alpha and omega sides of the coin. So it's good. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the gameplay mechanic depends on a coin flip. I think I mentioned this before in the pitch session, but I was really trying to try to highlight the duality with that. Like there's a face side and a non-face side, and those determine the type of outcome you have. So when you decide on the sides of the coin, I want you to name these values. Is alpha a good outcome? Like, hey, this is great. And the omega is a bad outcome? Or is it more complicated than that? How else can you determine the opposites? Is it joy, sorrow, fire, ice, light, dark? You can see this is still a working document because that's my question. Is that too much to myself? But yeah, I wanted this to be people to think outside just like the good evil binary. Like what other sort of polarities and dualities exist within that. This is the sort of thing out too. Maybe it'll change, but don't worry about that. This is crucial, so there's no GM or DM for this game, but instead there's one player to be a chronicler, which will rotate. This person is designed for chronicling the story. So kind of a note taker, but built into the game, because that's what you have at the end of it, is the story. Just going on a bit. Game mechanics. This is all being sketched out still, but you can get a sense of where we're headed. Scenes will consist of interactions between characters in the world. These interactions are defined through opening actions and concluding actions. So there's 2 things the player can do on the turn, an opening action and a concluding action. The turn order is determined by the agency stat on the player's embodiment or aspect. The player with the highest agency stat takes the first turn. This is if you play D&D, it's like initiative. Whoever has that highest goes first. To begin the turn, the player with the opening action will be. There are 3 options right now. You can talk to a character, initiate or resolve a conflict, or experience the world. Each of these opening actions will lead to an encounter. The player declares their intention, describes the encounter, and flips the coin. And there's going to be rules to how encounter is going to function too. Whichever side of the coin, alpha or omega, is facing up will determine the outcome of the encounter. The player can then manipulate the outcome with their abilities, adding alpha and omega points to steer them towards the chosen aspect. So the alpha and omega parts, and we'll talk about in a second, those are how you embody duality within the embodiment. That's how you get to a higher level. After that comes the concluding action, which is handled by the embodiment aspect of the player. So all players have the same options in opening actions, but the concluding action depends on the aspect and the embodiment you plan. So it's kind of class abilities. Going down. With the outcome of the concluding action resolved, the player then notes the current value of the aspect scale and takes an relevant action, which can be evolving into an aspect, banning an aspect, or a situational occurrence. As the player performs both the opening action and concluding action in terms of the effects of the aspect scale, the player then rotates the player to the next height exigency. The scene concludes after everyone has had a turn. That's kind of how the game progresses. You can see I'm sketching this out still, but opening actions, you can talk to a character, you interact with another player character in the game. You can initiate or resolve a conflict. You can only initiate or resolve, you can't do both. And you can experience the world. And this is one that's purposely vague, because I don't know exactly what this looks like yet, but I do want the player to be able to manipulate the world somewhat. So the player chooses to add something to the game environment, and that's TPD. Embodiments. You can scroll past that. The threat deepens is something crucial here too. After each act, recommended to 3 to 5. The threat deepens. This will be like a random events that require immediate intervention by the player. So you can think of these almost as like intermissions between acts. Something wonky is going to happen, whatever the threat you decide it is. This is what I need to make yet. I need to make guides for chroniclers. I need to make safety tools, because if you talk about storytelling, it's always good to be on the same page with a story. I need to do a table for story type. I need to do a bunch more than this, but also how to run an encounter. The motion is something I'm thinking about still. Here's some of the embodiment stuff I'm playing around with. So embodiment, the broken. So the alpha aspect is the martyr. One of the concluding actions is self-sacrifice. The martyr sacrifices themselves and chooses a new embodiment. So you can just be like a new character. Hi. I have the omega aspect being the heartless. I thought it'd be cool to have an actor called unforgiving. I don't know what that means yet. And there's an embodiment called the oracle. The alpha aspect is a soothsayer, so like your standard sort of be able to see the future. The omega aspect is the doom scribe, which I'm saying is also somebody's internal pessimist, nihilist type of thing. The concluding actions is going to be called doom in all caps. I don't know what that means yet, but I liked it. The next embodiment is the balladeer. The alpha aspect is the poet. Don't know what that is yet. The omega aspect is the edgelord. And the concluding action is going to be something called cringeworthy. I'm not sure what that is yet either. But and the last one we have is the Sentinel. The alpha aspect is a stalwart. With the concluding action, we encourage friends. Be kind of give heart to your friends here. And the omega aspect is the tyrant, which is authority running rampant, I think. I've got other ones that kick around, the scions, being born, trying to think of what these things might be. So yeah, as you can see, it's very work in progress. I think the challenge for me was to find a way to, every time I was working on this, and like, oh yeah, and this, my scope got wildly out of frame. That's how I was working on it. But what's encouraging me too is like, I can see where this goes from here. So this is like, I'm gonna keep on working on this, it's gonna turn into something else that I got to start by doing this. So I'm really glad he's got something to kind of work around with. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. The board game folks, right? Table or? All right, so we got, I'm sorry, I forgot names here. Scott and Jay, right? All right, so Scott and Jay are presenting their board game with me, which is really cool because Chris and I were talking about how it'd be cool if someone made a board game, and so we got one, and we got TTRPG, well, more of a RPG, I guess, but so very cool to have that. So go ahead.
Cool. All right, so I didn't really know who to go after in this whole thing because everyone had really deep games in life and death and duality, and I don't. My inspiration was kind of a foppish, useless class of people that basically just like to look at art. So, all right, that might be a little heavy, but anyway. The game is called Masquerade. The duality play was on the masks of comedy and tragedy. The original pitch was that I am going to auction off art pieces at a closing art house or something like that. And some art fans really like the art and want to salvage the art, save the pieces. And some of them, that would be the comedies, the tragedies want to destroy as much art as possible because they are, I don't know, chaos embodied. Anyway, so the game is played in 2 phases, and it's 2 sides of the same mat. I used a crappy little cutting board, so it kind of bleeds through, so I'm sorry if you can't really see from there. But the first phase is there's a stack of art cards, and we'll talk about the illustration shortly here, but art cards that each have a point value associated. There are 26 cards here. And then there's a stack of trash cards. Those are all identical cards that are just called trash. They're dead cards. They're essentially decoy cards. So art cards sit here, trash cards sit here. Then one player takes an art card and turns it onto the auction block. And you go around the circle one time with the original bidder, the opening bidder, having a final option to bid for this card. When somebody wins the card, you grab the card off the auction block as well as a trash card, and then depending on what your role is, whether you are a comedy or a tragedy, you place the art in the salvage if you're a comedy, or the incinerator if you're a tragedy. And then you put the trash card in the opposite. So you put it face down. It's a secret identity game in that regard, because I want people on the same team to bid against each other, because that's funny. So you play secret identity auction all the way around. As soon as that happens, you take the incinerator pile. Once all the cards from the art deck have been bid upon and placed, you take all the cards from the incinerator pile, put them in the game box. They're dead. You burned them. The salvage pile then, you take off, you flip the mat over. At this point, you reveal your roll cards to everybody, and you yell at somebody for outbidding you when you're on the same team. And then you start a race. So you take all the cards that were in the salvage pile, you remove all the trash cards because they're bound to be mixed in art and trash cards. Again, those were just dummy cards. You remove all the trash cards. You put all the remaining art in the art square. You have player tokens, little meeples of various color, that you'll be placing on these start squares. That's part of the front side aspect. Doesn't really matter right now. You got meeples here, and then you've got dice. You have one die, a white die, that tells you movement number, and then we were limited on items, so we used a red die to tell you direction. 3 through 6 goes forward, 1 is left, and 2 is right. I play tested it last night, and my friends found that difficult to comprehend for some reason. But if I were actually building it, you would have 4 pieces or 4 sides of the dice or the die that says forward, 1 side that says left, and 1 side that says right, foolproof. Anyway, so ultimately you are moving your little meeple as you go up to a finish. Once you hit a finish, you collect an art card, and your little meeple moves back down to the start of the same column. Everybody else is moving up at the same time, and you and your team are trying to collect as much art as you can, while the other team is trying to collect as much art as you can. This side is a strategy side, it's an auction side, so there's a bidding component. This side is 100% chance. Because you're taking, once you get to the finish, which is a dice roll, you're taking the top card, which is a shuffle. And then at the end, once this is depleted, the team with the highest value of cards remaining will end up winning the game. There's no real fun backstory. Again, the duality was just the comedy, tragedy, drama masks. So that was originally the pitch, and actually the game itself didn't change a whole lot as far as the machinations. A little bit, it scaled up a little bit because I started on an 8.5 by 11, so I have more spaces now. But what really was fun for me, I'm not an artist at all. But Jay here was willing to work with me, and she made all this stuff from scratch, and that's where I'm going to bow out. I'm going to let you talk about the art things.
Okay. So the first pieces that I started with were these like comedy jester mask things. I kind of, leaning back into duality a little bit, I played with colors a bit. So you notice how, I don't know if anybody can see, I'll pass them around in a minute, but the crying one is actually bright colors, like bright yellows, warm colors, which are normally associated with happiness. Well, not for these. And the opposite with the smiling card. It's cool colors, it's blues instead of bright yellows, which is normally sadness. Well, it's not for this one. And on the back is just gray, devoid of color, because you don't know what you are unless you flip it over. These ones are pretty self-explanatory. They don't have any art on them. They are devoid of art because they are the trash cards. And I've got the name of the game on the back, Masquerade. These are the interesting ones. So there are 13 different art cards, but they're repeated. There's 13 of them but doubled, so 26 total. And they're numbered in the corner, but I didn't really try to do duality with them. I just kind of drew whatever was coming to my head, and I drew a bunch of different art pieces. Some of them are referenced off of like popular art or like old historical stuff. This one is a Cubism Winnie the Pooh, which again I'll pass these around. More Cubism. I don't think I brought them out. Oh, yeah, I did bring one. This one is a play on the American Gothic. It's just silhouettes instead of having faces. So, just kind of a bunch of those, and yeah, so that was what I did. I think the only thing that we really struggled with was getting the cards printed and aligning them so that they would print correctly. But
we were just using Microsoft Word, so
yeah,
do what you can. She didn't mention, but 26 hours, she did 13 unique pieces of art, 2 unique masks, as well as the trash card, the game backer, and the mask backer. She was done by, what did you say, 9 last night? Done on the art?
Yeah.
So we started at 7 the day prior. So, I mean, she knocked it out of the park, and today was all just cutting things out, aligning, which took today. So, word. But it was really impressive, and I really enjoyed creating the game. I play tested it last night, like I said, and the worst thing you can say about it is it's playable. The best thing you can say about it is it's replayable. It does have some replayability there. Complexity is probably not really up there. That's not so bad for a simple game like this. So that was fun.
I don't know if anybody wanted to look at the cards,
Oh, Chris.
So, my fellow site organizer, Chris, also from UWGB fame, professor at UWGB coming up to present. And yeah, I think after this, that's it. So I'll say a few words after that, and then we'll move to go. So go ahead.
Great. So, so whenever I come to, this is probably my 3rd or 4th jam, definitely my biggest. Fantastic. Biggest one I've been to, I should say. And what I love about jams is being able to pick up any sort of tool and try to break it, or do something with it, push it a little bit. And so this is it's a short, very short, bitsy work, probably 4 or 5 rooms, not too long. But the extra bonus is y'all get to witness how bad of a creative writer I am. So sorry about that. So it's thinking about duality. Started with a short list, like what are we talking about when we talk dualities, and started coming up with I think I mentioned at the pitch, trying to do something involving a black hole, and you'll see how that plays out in a second. But thought about this like new being alone in the universe, and trying to think of how something like this would manage to navigate through the unknown. And so the way it works is So it's just this little bobble and it floats around. One of the challenges that I had almost right off the bat was just for a simple pixel-based engine, my browser would ground to a halt. I would type out a couple sentences and I would have to wait a minute or two for it to actually type out, which was really obnoxious. Actually, probably helped my writing a little bit, so there's that. So you go around and you capture these pairs of, like, I don't know what you call them, perceptions. And so this one is like getting all highfalutin, talking about perception and going back to the origin. And he discovers there, this sort of concept of distance. But he knows something is missing. I refer to this thing always as its icon, which a lot of this was discovering what Bitsy does. I haven't touched Bitsy in a couple of years, so it was really exciting to see all that it does, especially great to see some of the projects today. So it's always suddenly we're in a strange state. So now it discovers here. And now it's got this pairing here and there, and it can proceed through the exit, lock, you guys have both. This is about the extent of my coding knowledge, variables, if, else, then. So I like to show that up. Old planet, it's like what happened, where did this planet come from? Was it always like this? Well, obviously not. So we discovered past. And there's again more lousy writing. Picks up something more than distance. It's already figured out what distance is, and it's past, but there's something else. So I think on this one, I don't have to go through, get both of them, but I'll just grab it real quick. So because I know here and I know there, I have a concept of distance, I can perceive certain things. And with that perception, I can tell that something has transpired and I understand past and future. So now that that's happened, you see a young star consuming the dust outside. So having mastered time and space, a bauble is free to explore the cosmos. And so this was, Julie showed me a little app that you can put an image into Bitsy, which was really helpful because I had started drawing this and it was awful. Go through, black hole, recent perceptions become suspect. The bauble has just acquired all these lovely concepts, time and space, but what does it mean? What does all that mean when you're looking at a black hole? Here, there, past, future. The initial idea was to have some parallax happening where different planes of this black hole would be shifting as you would move through it. I got lazy. Time, space, matter, being little to this all-consuming giant. All of his seats, yes. Got it. Right, so this is where I started to experiment. I kind of wanted to make something like that trippy scene in 2001 where the sort of planes of existence are flying at the main protagonist. Didn't quite pull it off, but again, it's nice to experiment with what Bitsy can do. Just kind of doing this multicolor thing. Didn't quite work, but so then that's it. That's pretty cool. That's fun. All right, is that a wrap, or did I miss anyone? No? All right. I guess that's a wrap. Thanks for coming. It's been a blast. We hope to be able to do this next year. So
And special thanks to Chris for helping out this year. This is first year side jam site coordinator, and everyone from UWGB that came to give talks. Chris Williams and Julie. Brian, thanks for coming. Dr. Carr, that is. as I say to you blandly in the hallway, but yeah, it's been really great. Thanks everyone for a great jam. We had a really fun time. So future stuff. So not only is there, obviously next year we'll hope to do this again. Should be cool. But there's jams that go on all the time. Like I think itch.io tracks them, so you can go on their page and see if you want to, just keep making games. I mean, there's I don't know what's coming up, but if you check it, I think, isn't it like itch.io/jam or something? Do you know, Billy?
I know they have a lot on there.
Yeah, I think it's like itch.io/jam or something like that. And they track all the jams that are going on throughout the world. I want to get back to Train Jam someday. It's a 54-hour ride that goes from Chicago to San Francisco. I've taken, I think, a total of 6 students out there with me on different trips. And it's not happening this year because they had to cancel it because of COVID. I really hope it happens in 2023. It would be great to go back. So if you enjoyed this, there's way more where we came from. So yeah, Chris, do you want to say a few words? Or?
You can create your own jam.
Yeah, you can create your own jam. I mean, literally,
It's pretty easy, and it's worth doing.
Yep. So yeah, we all made something, so that's really cool. That's really impressive. I know there were, early on, there were a lot of people that hadn't jammed before, and on Discord it was like, oh well, what am I going to do? I sensed a little bit of nervousness, but at the end of the day, just be proud of yourself. You made something. So, it's really impressive. I mean, whatever it is, you learned something this weekend. So I think it was really good. And you didn't kill yourself doing it, because I think most people got some sleep most nights. I know there were a couple people that were here all night, but I think even us got some sleep, so it's all good. How's that Tower Mountain Dew coming back there?
It's a wall.
It's a wall now?
There's 12 cans.
Oh boy. Just be careful. Anyway, all right, so thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.